Okay. I think we're live, Buff Nation. What's going on? Hope you guys are having a wonderful start to your week. Y'all let me know who's watching. And if you got some questions, I got a few questions that I will get to that some followers on Twitter have been able to send me, which is awesome. And yeah, if I'll try and get through as many questions as there is or might be. Until then, guys, I guess I will go ahead and jump in. So let me see if I can pull this up real quick. So the first question I got, we'll have this start with the thumbnail of the video, okay? And this is having to do with Ian Massey, a safety out of Oregon State, somebody I believe who's entered the portal as a graduate transfer. I think Buffed and Prime might have done a video on them a little while back, but let me go ahead and see if I can bring up who asked me this question about my thoughts on Savion Riley. Here it is, K Dog. All right, let me go ahead and share this. K Vizzy, he has not committed yet. But somebody was asking me, do I think he will be a buff? And let me hit share. Yes, K Dog. Well, he was asking me who starts at the safety spots, and I guess we can start there, and then we'll get to Massey, right? So I don't think that this is too crazy of an opinion, but I think we'll see our starting safeties be Cameron Silman Craig and Shiloh Sanders. I think after that, probably as long as he stays healthy, I think that third safety, if we have a third safety rotating in, it's probably going to be Travis J. Everything that I've heard from about him this spring has been pretty positive, and now he has a ton of time past injury, especially since we shut him down. I think it might have been after the Oregon game. Now, if we're moving forward to the future, who might be starting a year from now, that's where things get a little tricky. I think that some of us here are pretty high on Carter Stoutmire, but we haven't seen what he can do yet in a game-like situation at that safety position moving forward. But Savion Riley, somebody that came here from Miami, previously played at Vanderbilt, redshirted. I don't think he had any snaps on defense last year, if I remember correctly. So an SEC caliber guy, but we haven't seen him on the field yet. I think he's got good measurables from what I remember. And RJ Johnson's kind of in a similar situation, coming over here from Arkansas. So yeah, I would imagine that these three right here would probably be the top three rotation. If all these guys, I forget if any of them will have the ability to have any waivers similar to Tyler Johnson to get or Tyler Brown to get an extra year of eligibility. But if all these guys move on, past their college careers, this is the starting safety group that I am expecting. Now, if we look at the class of 2025, we do have a DB coming in here that could play a little bit of safety, can play cornerback as well, and that's Alex Graham, a three-star guy from IMG Academy. And so he might be able to earn himself some playing time his true freshman year, depending on how he looks coming in. If he's an early enrollee, I think that gives him a better opportunity than if he were to join late. So that's kind of how the safety group is shaking up right now, which I think could be pretty interesting. But Dante's saying Riley's looking huge. Well, I think he's got some great size, but at least from what I saw in the spring, we'll have to see what happens with Travis J. I know that I did see a lot of Herman Smith. Again, I need to see it with Herman Smith before I'm going to start to believe that he's going to be a really good player for us, just because, hey, if you're not earning snaps at Idaho State, that is something that does concern me a little bit, right? So we'll just have to see. Now, in terms of, come on now, let's have this thing load. Okay, so in terms of Ian Massey. Let's get to him. Graduate transfer. And I know that Buffed and Prime did a little video on him a while back. Here's my thing with Ian Massey. I know that he had a very good start to his career at the JUCO level, and then has been at Oregon State, but we didn't see him play at all last year. And if the practice footage looks good, that's one thing. If you guys learned any lessons like I learned last year, is that you got to take everything you see in practice somewhat with a grain of salt, okay? And while I have like taken a look at some of his practice tape earlier today, uh, you can maybe I'll link this in the comments when I finish out the video, because he does have this posted on his Twitter, and it's just unlisted, so that's kind of interesting. But I think he moves like pretty well, but you got to wonder, okay, like if you're an All-American in practice, why aren't you getting the time on the field? Like there's a nice little pick from DJU, kind of drifting back there in his zone, understanding what's going on, reading the quarterback's eyes. And of course, with this practice tape, all we're able to see are the good moments. And so I'm kind of wondering, maybe he hasn't been picked up by a school, maybe because of some of that inconsistency. I'm not totally sure, but when you go ahead and look at like what he was doing at Oregon State, again, didn't see a snap on defense or special teams last year. You saw in 2022, he did get on the field for 9 total snaps on punt and kickoff return. And I think that might have been it. Oh, yeah, and had 4 snaps in 2021. Yeah, 1 at box, playing in the box, and then 3 in punt return. So I think he has great size for a safety. I mean, 6 feet, 216 pounds. When you take a look at his practice footage, I mean, he's flying all over the field. But that does beg the question of, okay, like when you look at that safety group with Oregon State last year, really solid defense. He had some good safeties ahead of him, of course, like Jack Kane, Oladapo. Both of them had good seasons as well. You see, man, Oladapo had almost 800 snaps. That is impressive stuff. But yeah, when you're 5th in the rotation at Oregon State, I know that some people have said, man, this guy would be a starter for us and all that. I'm just a little bit hesitant to say that this guy could come in immediately after playing like 20 snaps over the last 3 years of his college career and just be that guy. But all that to say, I think we do have a few more scholarship spots left, 5. And at that point, it's just like, why not? I would love to bring in some more competition and depth to this safety room. And if he's able to have another couple years of eligibility, sometimes these graduate transfers are able to have that, then yeah, like I would love to bring him in, see what he can do, give him an opportunity to really shine. But I would imagine if I put myself in Ian Massey's shoes, I want to go to a place where when I've only seen very, very sparse snaps over the last few years, I want to go to a school in which I'm going to have that opportunity to play immediately. So I don't necessarily think that that's at Colorado right now. It's going to be interesting to see where he ends up if he's picked up. And I think we got a group, like I brought up, of some young, promising safeties and Savion Riley, RJ Johnson, Carr Stoutmeyer. Again, we'll have to see what position Alex Graham ends up playing at, but he's somebody to keep an eye on as well. And of course, hey, if the Buffs have another, year where they're winning 3-4 games at least more than the previous year, that puts us in to have a fantastic season, going to a bowl game and all that. And after that, who knows who we're able to bring in transfer portal wise into the team. I would imagine that we might be able to go out and get some of these blue chip starting caliber players right out of the portal if we continue to have another really strong building block year for the team. So that's kind of how I see the safety group kind of managing right now. In regards to Savion Riley, oh, he played last year, David. What you mean? He transferred to Miami in the spring? That's right. He was just a part-time player. Let me pull it up right here. Part-time player last year. Yes, didn't play the year before. And it was, I think, RJ Johnson who had some limited snaps at Arkansas. Let me go ahead and share this so I can get my information right. 1 second, y'all. Okay, here we go. Hopefully you guys can see this. But yeah, Savion Riley, 6'2", 202 pounds. And it sounds like to me you guys think he might have added even more weight, which is great. If he could get up to that like 215-pound mark, I think that's really ideal for a safety as long as you're maintaining that speed. And again, I thought graded out pretty well in coverage, in tackling. And yeah, I mean, 46 total tackles. That's really great. Might need to work in his coverage a little bit, allowing 72.2% reception, but there's a lot of factors when it comes to the secondary when you're giving up pass completions. Played 343 snaps this past year, played both free safety as well as strong safety in a kind of part-time supportive role. So I think that's great. He brings some experience over here. And yeah, I think did not play in 2022. Eligible here in 2026. And then when we get to RJ Johnson, if I remember correctly. Now, some people have said maybe he'll play corner. I'm not sure. They have him listed on the scholarship chart as a safety. So, again, redshirted last year, played 2 snaps on kickoff coverage. Again, when you take a look here, listed as a safety, which is pretty interesting. So sorry, I got those guys mixed up a little bit. RJ Johnson's the guy that's coming in with not a lot of snaps. Savion Riley playing 343 snaps or so last year. That's great. Was at Miami this past spring, hit the portal, just like we see happen all over college football now, which is pretty crazy. But overall, like in terms of this defense, I'm feeling so much better about what we got. I think that our edge room, we've seen the practice clips. Just these guys seem to be moving at a different level compared to some of the one-on-one drills, even without pads, that we saw the offensive and defensive linemen go at each other with last year, right? Feeling a little bit better. And sorry, man, you guys are distracting me. Paul Simmons, I appreciate the kind words. He says, I'm thinking this time next year you'll be doing this for ESPN. Hey, well, let's hope so, right? Hopefully. I'm only joining ESPN if they're saying, Dave, you can still do the show in your bedroom. I don't want to live in Bristol, Connecticut. Sorry. The Northeast, it is just not for me. Can't do it. Now, if we're talking about their LA studio, that's a different conversation. I love the West. Who doesn't want to live in California if money is not an issue? Money's not an issue. I would love to live in California. David, this dude hasn't committed yet. Way too late. Well, somebody asked me about this. Who was it? It might have been somebody in my DMs. That's why I led with it. It was Triple Cube on Twitter. Okay. Now, Triple Cube also brought this up. What's the deal with Tyler Johnson? I mean, you probably saw today on Twitter, I forget what specific publication it was. They talked about Tyler Johnson being like on the all transfer list for guys who have hit the portal. Really interesting that we haven't seen him practicing with the first team at one of those guard spots alongside Justin Mayers. Again, that's why I had Tyler Brown as being a second string guard, but it seems like right now Tyler Brown throughout spring was mainly practicing with those first string offensive lineman, Tyler Johnson with the second team. I don't know if that has to do with, I think he was battling some injury in the spring as well, if I remember correctly. But I would say that right now, I don't think any position on the offensive line is pretty much set in stone. There are guys that I'm expecting to have a really good season that I would assume are the starters. We'll just have to see. I think that Jordan Seaton, man, did you guys see the photo of him today? Looks absolutely jacked. I love it. I think he will be our starting left tackle. You don't bring a guy like that in here to see you, in my opinion, if he doesn't have the one up on starting, and I think he does. Justin Mayers, I feel like I haven't heard anything concerning or negative about him. So that's kind of the left side of the offensive line. Now, it's been interesting. Some of you guys, in response to my Hank Zielinskis film rooms, have said, I'm really expecting Wyatt Hummel to come in here and challenge Hank and maybe even start over him come week one at that center position. While I'm still going to go with Hank, I do agree that I would like to see some competition there. I would like to see Wyatt Hummel push Hank Zielinskis. I would like to see a battle there, but I don't know. Maybe you guys can tell me. I haven't heard anything on where Wyatt Hummel is going to play for the Buffs. He has experience playing all over the line at tackle, guard, and center, but I'm not sure what his primary position here on the Buffs is going to be. I don't think center has been his primary position, if I remember. He might be our option for a swing tackle if Jordan Seaton were to go down. Let me pull this up right here. Regarding Wyatt Hummel. Let's get this thing going. Okay. Hopefully you guys can see that okay. And I will remove this comment so we can see it. Oh, let me reset this. Much better. Okay. So you can see here this past year at Villanova. Again, 6'6", 315 pounds. Great size for an offensive lineman. We mainly saw him last year play at the guard positions, right guard, right tackle through the first half of the year, and the second half of the year start at left guard for basically half the year. So kind of interesting. Maybe he's somebody that can even come in here and compete at right tackle, but I would imagine that this is going to be down to between Khalil Benson and Ethan Boyd. But maybe he does get some work at center. Let's go back and see if he has. So when you look at what he did in 2022, let me turn this slide on. Played a little bit of center. Let's see, 42 snaps at center a couple years ago. Then played left and right tackle in 2021. Then right tackle in 2020. Let's see what he did in 2019 when he came in. Older player, which is nice. Right tackle. So he might, probably his two positions he's played the least right now are left tackle and center. So my gut tells me that he might be competing for that right tackle position or like a backup swing tackle. We'll see. Maybe he wants to transition over to that center position and all that. But he did get more guards. I just assume that guys like Peyton Kirkland and Zach Owens, like those guys, Kareem Harden, they might have the one up when it comes to the backup guard positions. I don't know what you guys think about that, but that's kind of how I figure things. And Paul, thank you so much for the $10 super. I really do appreciate it. It means a lot. And this has just been so much fun. If you're a fan of the Broncos by chance, Paul, you can always subscribe to David Talks Broncos. Going for almost 1,200 subscribers over there. K Vizzy, Sandfax, BJ Green's going to be good. BJ Green's going to be one of our best players on the defensive line. That's what I believe. I don't know what you guys think. Dante saying, regarding BJ Green, he carries himself like a dude you don't mess with. Absolutely right. And it's been great to see him go in those one-on-ones. I'm telling you, uh, I don't see any loafing over here. So again, that wasn't any of my concern when he was coming over. Even though we saw like those clips are totally valid of him kind of dogging it a little bit, whatever. But I just didn't see that to be an issue out here, especially with the coaching staff that we got. I'm excited for BJ Green, and I think he's going to come here and maybe prove some people wrong. But a rotation, a rotation. Let's go back and look at it. You guys are getting me hyped. On the edge, BJ Green, Deion Hayes, Samuel Okunloa. Okay, and then it's like some of these guys that I haven't spent a lot of time talking about throughout this offseason. Arden Walker was one of our most improved players last year. Keaton Wade was a guy that Kentucky did not want to lose. A lot of versatility. Quincy Wiggins, even though he was a player that didn't get a lot of snaps at LSU, he's probably been one of the players that has been spoken about uh, highly the most this offseason, I would say. And guys like Taj McCoy, Brandon Davis Swain, I think that can provide some great rotational snaps for us this year, and quite possibly a challenge for starting positions sooner rather than later. Maybe later on in the in their college career, like not have to wait till their fourth, fifth year, right? If they redshirted. So all interesting developments over here with the edge room, and then let's just talk about the interior defensive line. I think it's really interesting that both Chidozie Nwankwo as well as Ryan Buell are probably our highest rated guys that we've brought in from the transfer portal at the interior position. They both are a little bit undersized, which is going to be interesting to see how that plays out, how often they're lining up next to each other. But what's great is that we got some bigger guys to support them. And Quinn Barnes, another guy in which people have spoken of very highly of, even though we haven't been able to see him play much in his first 2 years, I believe, at Alabama. Omari McNeil seems like he's taken another jump. Probably, in my opinion, our most improved player on defense last year, on the defensive line, especially. And then somebody like Shane Cokes, I'm hoping we play him more at end, but if he has to fill in as that fourth or fifth interior defensive lineman, I'll take it. He's not starting for us, right? Like he's not starting for us in that role. I would expect the rotation to kind of look like that. Yeah, but overall, really excited about the team this year, guys. I just love it. Regarding Tyler Brown, Tyler Johnson is the man. He missed time. Okay. So, yeah, maybe that right guard position is still totally up in the air. And again, I hope that competition continues on. Gave you my opinion on Ryan Buell. And yeah, regardless of some of the guys, Wyatt Hummel, for instance, coming in from Villanova, that's FCS. Okay. This is a different level of things. That's why I'm not so sure to come out and say, like last year, again, guys, I've learned. I've learned. I think only coaching can do so much. Again, like Landon Beebe, for instance, was somebody that, hey, if you look at the measurables and his tape at lower level, I mean, it looks fine. It looks great. But just that was an insane jump. To go to playing Power 5 football last year and starting. And I'm a little bit hesitant to automatically just pencil guys in as being better at the end of the day than some of our holdovers, rather. At the end of the day, Hank Zelinskas has the most experience at the Power 4 level than any of these other guys that we've brought in, as funny as that is, right? And Byron Wilson coming in here with another, with another piece of truth here saying Tyler Johnson is our only lineman with Power 5 experience that play well. Why wouldn't he start? Yeah, the only thing that I can think of, Byron, is maybe Tyler Brown just took that year last year and just uh, having all that time off and just became that dude, which I'm totally cool with. Uh, hey, if Tyler Johnson's going to be our third best guard on the team, then man, we must have seen some big time development between Tyler Brown and even Justin Mayers coming up from the G5 level. Interesting. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that competition. I don't think it's set in stone nearly at all. Man, I love this. Yeah, BJ Green loafed his way to 7 sacks and 12 tackles for a loss. Again, like sometimes some of this stuff is just a little nitpicky. And this isn't just about Buffed and Prime. I think that I've been guilty of doing this in the past too, whether that's positive or negative stuff. I think the biggest thing, I thought Javon Antonio was absolutely going to kill it based off of some of the stuff we was seeing in the practice videos. That's at the end of the day, I should have just zoomed out a little bit, taken more of a look at what has Javon Antonio done throughout his college career, and that, jack shit, man, Oh. Kenobi, man, if we're able to get a day 2 pick out of BJ Green, that's going to do huge things for this program. One of the things that I have my eyes on, and I'm curious to hear from you guys, maybe I'm turning this into a Q&A with the chat because I'm curious. We know that Shador and Travis Hunter are going to be first round draft picks. Okay. We know that's going to happen. Maybe even both of them top 5, top 10. But who's going to be that next highest draft pick? And what day are they going? Because I'm going to be very interested to see that. We got guys like LeJontay Wester that are here for their last year. Jimmy Horn, I think, could still surprise people. We'll see how much playing time he gets. But again, I think that our wide receiver core is in a fantastic place if Jimmy Horn is really your 4th or 5th guy in the rotation. I'm interested to hear like who you guys think would be that. I don't think it's anybody on the offensive line next year. Contrary to some people's opinions, honestly, I would be shocked if we even have one drafted right now. But who's to say? Who's to say one of those guys, can't work their way into being a day 3 pick on the offensive line? Who knows? Paul Simmons. If you don't know Paul Simmons, other people in the chat or viewers, LSU fan. So he says, yes, Quincy was a good player, just not enough experience to play much. And LSU went to heavy for his position in the portal. Quincy thought it would be best to take his talents to Colorado. Yes. And we did see him playing in a lot of those 2 deep positions or snaps along the line during the spring. And it's really funny because when I've projected out or looked at my expectations for the defense and the guys that we've brought in, I've mainly tried to keep my expectations tied to the people that we've brought in that have significant playing experience. But if we're able to get a significant jump, and guys like Quincy Wiggins and Anquin Barnes become like real good, impactful players for us, man, this defense, I think, has the potential to be definitely better than national average. But even if we're going from 125 ranked to 60th ranked in the country, that's a significant jump, an absolutely significant jump where everybody needs to be praised. Kenyon, I don't think that they put the pads on until like late July or early August. Now we're just getting summer workouts. Interesting point, K Vizzy. Yeah, if Tyler Johnson wasn't that dude, he probably just would have left like we've seen guys do. Like we saw Shaman Mateer do. Like we saw it worked out in benefit for us, Savion Riley do at at Miami. Now, I don't think Savion Riley starts here, but could he have potential to be that third safety off the bench this year? Yeah. Oh, Donnie C coming in here with an interesting take, saying he thinks Tyler Johnson starts over Justin Mayers at guard, which would mean Tyler Brown would be the other starting guard. This is how I see it, man. If Tyler Johnson or Justin Mayers is our third best guard, man, we are in darn good position. Now, this is something that a handful of people have brought up, Byron Wilson. Tyler Johnson starting at right tackle, just play the best five guys. Most people think Benson is a guard anyway, which I think he would be better suited for that position as well. What are we missing starting Tyler Johnson at right tackle? Well, let's go ahead and do some investigation, shall we? Let's see if he's played any right tackle snaps. Okay. So we saw him start at left guard all last year. We saw him start at right guard the year previous. Let's see when he was at Texas. What the heck? Maybe he was out in 2021. And we saw him start at right guard. So, yeah, he might struggle with that lateral quickness as well. I really don't know. But to your point, Byron Johnson. Sorry, it was blocking the information. To your point, though, like, why not at least see what he can do? Right? It's very rare. I feel like you see guys make the transition from going from inside to outside. Like, I don't know. I'm trying to think in the NFL of guys that I've seen do that. I can't think of it, but who knows? Like in college, your body's still developing at a rapid pace. Who's to say you can't get quicker, right? Interesting. But yeah, like I know that there are some concerns that I have with both Ethan Boyd and Cleo Benson. Pass blocking, dealing with difficult edge rushers that are more athletic than them. The biggest thing that's going to help both those guys out is running the ball. So not only does Shador's health need to be considered with the run to pass ratio this year, also just the health and the confidence of the offensive line. I think, again, one of my issues last year is that the coaching staff didn't really do anything to help instill confidence in the offensive line. And you saw them get worse, and you saw them lose their confidence and never regain it. Hopefully there are some lessons learned collectively of how to handle that better, to where we see an increase in performance as the year goes on rather than a decrease. Donnie's saying, really curious about the linebacker Green and the running back from Ohio State. I do think Dallin Hayden is going to be that starting running back for us, and Augusta being right there, spelling him, if not as high as a 50-50 snap share. I think they're both very talented running backs. And I think the one specific guy that I'm penciling in to start at linebacker right now is Nakai Hill-Green. Really, I think he's at another level in terms of how solid he is compared to some of our other linebackers. And it's not that he's perfect, but I do love the fact that he was relied on to be that guy at Charlotte that played all three downs and is really solid in pass coverage at 230 pounds. He can play the run effectively. It was really funny. I was doing a Broncos film room for Blake Watson, an undrafted running back that we have. And the one game that I had of Memphis offense was going against the Charlotte defense last year. So I also got to see some Nakai Green Hill. Made a lot of great plays in that game. There were also a few open field tackles that he just straight up missed. A couple where Blake Watson, a 195-pound back, just stiff-armed him. So I'm assuming that's one of the things within his game that he's going to really be focusing on to round out, because I feel like he has a really great base of a lot of skills and capabilities. That's probably not rocket science. Everybody needs to work on their open field tackling, but I would expect Nikhai Hill-Green to come in here and be the leader of that linebacker room. Now, outside of that, who's that guy starting alongside him? Well, if you can play him effectively in coverage, maybe you have somebody again like Levante Bentley or Johnny Chaney Jr. Helping with more of that run. Again, with the defensive line alignment that we've seen throughout the spring practices, things are spread out quite a bit. And we need some bigger linebackers to really help in run support. And so that's why I would be more of the fan of throwing somebody like Johnny Chaney Jr. or Levante Bentley. Maybe Brandon Gant can surprise us next to Nikhai Hill-Green. But at the end of the day, Jalen Wester, even though he was a very kind of undersized linebacker, similar size to Trevor Woods, he had a very good year last year in run support at FAU rather, and we'll just have to see if he can make that transition and still kind of have that anticipation, that just natural instinct to help in run support. If he is, then I'll never complain about speed at the inside linebacker position, just having two of your best athletes out there. And Jalen Wester could be, if not the best, one of the best athletes that we have there. No doubt, even with his smaller size. All right, I'll go here for a few more minutes. Anchor up, saying Hank is starting. I loved it. I love to hear it. I love to hear it. I want to see him start. I'm just going to be biased. I think it's cool, man. Having these guys come in that are homegrown and just not complain, not bitch when you see other offensive linemen brought in. They just work their tail off, and they earn that position over some of the guys that transfer in. I always think that's cool stuff. Byron Wilson saying Levante Bentley and Nikhai Hill-Green. And I know Levante Bentley is like a 6th, 7th year player, but this should be his best season, right? Right? When you've played that many games or played that many years, I think it was very helpful for him. I think being a full-time starter for the first time, and maybe he can build off of that this year. Okay, Vizzy, I saw him against Florida. He's good. Was that Nikhai Hill-Green? Yeah, didn't they have a matchup against Florida? Let me see here. I'll pull up Nikai's grades real quick and his stats. And we'll go to 23 here. Oh, this is blocking. Yeah, so against Florida, he had 45 total snaps. That's great. Oh, starting at will. Interesting. And throughout the game, he had 6 tackles, 1 missed. Okay, that's a fine ratio. Like, I will take that. And 5 stops. Guys, this is a really cool stat that I like. I might need to go in and just break down like who had the most stops individually last year, like on the team and our transfers. I think that would be kind of interesting. But a stop, if you're not familiar with it, it's a tackle to end a drive, whether that's on a 3rd down or 4th down. So 5 stops against Florida. That's awesome. Making plays when it matters the most. And had 10 of them against Tulsa. Dang. But yeah, it looks like he was a part-time player. I thought he started the whole year. My bad, but was a starter the second half of the season. So that's great. And as you see, like, I'll get rid of this. He played 370 snaps at Michigan in 2021, and that was a very good team. Byron saying we need true linebackers on the field. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. That's what I'd like to see. the emphasis needs to be, in my opinion, on like if there's a tie for linebacker on, hey, who you're putting on, put the guy on the field that's stronger in run defense. Okay. That's my opinion. We cannot just get gashed. If when I was going back and watching the Hank Zielinskis tape against Utah, it was so uh, frustrating to me to see us score that touchdown to Travis Hunter with like 6-7 minutes left in the game, and Utah was able to get the ball back and literally just run out the clock on one drive. They were just running the ball down our throats. We couldn't stop it, and they were able to just ice the game on a 6-minute run drive. We can't have that. So the emphasis, the priority needs to be stopping the run. If we can force teams into a 3rd and long, then that's when we can take somebody like Bentley off and put another player that's really stout in coverage, whether that's Trevor Woods, Jalen Lester, whoever else on the field. That's how I see it. That's how I see it. Go Bucks saying Wade and Jeremiah Brown will see some time at outside linebacker. I'd love to see it. It's going to be interesting to see what Keaton Wade is able to do. But these are guys that they're kind of tweeners in a sense. So I'm interested to see how Robert Livingston uses them. Days to come. Good to see you. Hope you're doing all right. Thanks for the support as always. Am I sold on the running back room? This is an interesting question. I'm about as sold as you can be for having guys come in here with not a ton of snaps. What I really do like, though, is in limited playing time, we have seen Isaiah Augustive and Dallin Hayden both be very productive. And outside of that, how do I feel about the room? Charlie Offerdahl, yeah, like he's fine for a bench rotational running back. But really, I have little to no expectations for Michael Welsh and Brandon Hood this year. I just don't see them playing a lot. But hey, if they're able to get on the field, then I'm going to be thrilled. And that's not to say I don't think they can become really good running backs. I think plenty of times you see these guys that are 3-star guys just come in here and become good running backs very quickly. But I think right now how I would split up the rotation would just be a 50-50 snap share between Dallin Hayden and Isaiah Augustive. Let's not complicate things. Let's have the opportunity, or give these guys the opportunity, to get in a groove, to have, hey, Hayden, you're going to take this drive. Hey, Augustive, you're going to take this drive. One thing that I don't think helped the running backs at all, with, in addition to the low amount of running plays per game that we had, was just the fact that I felt like we were rotating them so often. Like, let's just have a guy on one drive and stick with him. And if we need to spell him on 3rd down or whatever, let's do that. But I don't know. It's hard for me to say, like, am I sold when we didn't really see much of a running game last year and we have a full new room. I think what I am more so sold on is just the fact that I think Pat Shurmur's going to handle this a little bit differently than we saw last year. Days to come. Interesting. What about Ian Massey? So somebody on Twitter had asked me, do I think he's coming? And long story short, no, I don't. I think he's barely played the last 3 years at Oregon State. So I'd imagine he wants to go to a place where he can have a quicker path to playing time. But if he has, an extra year of eligibility past this grad transfer year, why not? Why not? But I would imagine if I were in his shoes, I would want to go to a place where I could finally play. But again, all we've seen are just highlights of his practice tape. We don't see the reasons of why he was 5th, 6th on the depth chart last year at Oregon State. We only see the reasons why he's kicking ass. Brandon Hood is a hidden gem. I'm excited about Brandon Hood. Again, just goes to show what kind of mentality you have when you have multiple scholarship offers from other SEC schools and you say, nah, I think I'm going to just walk on at Georgia. You got to have some big cojones to do that. And I think that speaks volumes. And I think we're very lucky to get him, especially this late in the stage of things. Rosecrans saying no running back at CU will get over 100 carries. I hope I'm wrong, though. Dude, I hope you're wrong, too. Let me see if I can pull up real quick how many run plays we had. Or like how many carries our guys had last year. Let me see here. We will find this together. Then I'm going to shut this thing down here. Just a few minutes. So we're looking for running backs. We're looking for CU. Okay. All right. Here's the information. So we saw. Well, I guess these are run snaps. So maybe there were some snaps where they were on the field where they were running it. Maybe it was like an option where Shador ran it. So these might be over a little bit. But damn, this is rough. Dylan Edwards led the team in run snaps with 75. Alt McCaskill had 14. Cavassier Smoke had 2, so that's 81. Put Charlie Offerdale on there, that's 83. 156, if I'm doing my math right. Did we really just have like 156 run plays last year? It's even worse than I thought. Man. Oh, yeah, that's a little rough. Because some of these might have been, like jet sweeps and stuff like that to Jimmy Horn or, design runs for Shador. Interesting. So I will say this, Rosecrans, if we are able to have multiple backs with over 100 carries, we're playing some damn good complementary football as opposed to last year. Oh man, let's hope you're wrong. Oh, so funny. Man, that was bad. Where's Ben Boozy? Is he not here yet? Shouldn't he be here by now? Flick, flock, flack, saying my dark horse is Isaiah Gustive. I love it. I need to find some film of him. Oh, is he still working through that misdemeanor thing? I thought it was dropped. Yeah. This was awful. This was embarrassing. When you're playing 12 games and you have 156 run plays. And Admiral coming in here with the truth. Cheese saying we had some games where our running backs didn't have 15 carries all together. That is so bad. That is so bad. Yeah, we got to fix it, guys. We got to rush for like 1,500 yards. Over under 1,500 yards rushing. Y'all let me know. Guys, I'm going to cut this. I'm going to get some dinner going. But this was fun. Maybe I'll come live again soon and we can just do another one of these chats. That wasn't the full list of running backs. Am I missing somebody? Charlie, Savion, Dylan. Oh, Hankerson. Hankerson is off this list. They removed him. Why did they remove Hankerson from this list? Thank you for this, Papa. Paka Dick's Chicken. Great name. Yeah, why don't they have Hankerson on here? Okay, now I don't feel as bad. Is he considered a fullback? What the heck? I guess these dumbasses already moved him over to Oregon State. That's not right. We're going by last year's grades in the 2023 season. Come on, PFF. Okay. So he had 81 run plays. So let's do the math. That's 237 run plays. 237 run plays. Thank you for this. Still, that's terrible. That's so bad. Oh, I guess my face is in the way. Here, you can see it right there. 81 for Hankerson. So 237 run plays on the year. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. Yeah, that profile pick is totally wild. Still not good, but not as bad. Yeah, it's that, that is a crazy profile pick. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. Appreciate you guys as always. This is going to be a fun football season. I'll be back tomorrow. Go Buffs.